Hi, we're back for another edition of Talk to Us Tuesday. This is our live 30-minute chat where you get to ask us questions about what's happening in the city. And today we are joined by our Public Works Department. I'm your host, Kristen Chernosky, and I'm here with Christopher Montoya and Bob Younger. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
So this is your chance to ask any questions you have about streets. They are here for the next 30 minutes to answer all your questions. So I'll just start. If you guys could each tell us about your role with the city and how long you've been here. So, Christopher?
Christopher Montoya, I'm with the Public Works Department. I'm the Public Works Engineering Manager. I've been here for almost 3 years now.
Bob Younger. I'm the street supervisor for the city of Brighton. I've been in that position, I think going on 19 years, but I've been employed with the city for 34.
Wow. Well, great. We're going to go ahead and get started. Feel free to leave your questions in the comments and we'll try and get to as many as we can in the next 30 minutes. So I wanted to start with what are some of the projects that the Public Works Department is currently working on and what can residents expect to see this year?
Well, a lot of everyone may know we did just finish I76 and Bromley Lane Roundabout construction. We're getting ready to kick off our 2019 street preservation project. We'll be placing chip seals, hot chip, slurry seals, doing asphalt patching and pavement markings. You can go on our website, check out our maps for all these types of projects and all the locations. We're also in design engineering for Skill Street. It's the entry to the pavilions. We're almost done with design. That's hopefully going to go to construction this year. We did receive $150,000 or $170,000 in grant funding for ADA through the Adams County grant. That is intended to start here relatively soon. We're getting ready to solicit the project. We're also working on our asset management and evaluation. Currently we're going out and inspecting guardrails. We just completed our bridge structures last year. And we're implementing, Bob's team is putting in all of our other assets such as traffic signals. We've already completed historically like our sidewalks and stuff. Another project we've been working on is our Vision Zero, which is school zone and pedestrian safety. Bob's team last year completed all the school zones.
The signage, yes.
And this year we'll be working on different locations for pedestrian safety and further evaluations and studies.
Okay.
And in the maintenance area, you know, I've got some dirt work I'm doing for some of the other departments in the city. Right now, saving some money on construction costs with that. We're gearing up on our main line striping in town. We're always doing, you know, our sign work and repairs as needed, but this year we're just kicking off this month with some rewiring of some signal cabinets and finishing an LED project converting the luminaire lighting on the Highway 76 and 85 corridors to LEDs to save us some money in that respect. We've got our patching projects going on and gearing up for something new for us this year. This fall coming, we're going to start crack sealing. So we're, you know, learning about that and getting ready to kick that off.
Can you all talk a little bit more about that, about how you repair the streets and the chip seal and what's the process? How do you guys go about that?
So in 2018, we actually did a full-blown pavement evaluation for the entire city. We take the data, we process it, and we evaluate it based on the service life of the pavements. We then extract that data and prepare locations that need work and repairs. We then visually go inspect those areas to ensure that all the data, it correlates exactly with what we're being shown from our software. From there, we'll work from our budget, and we actually have to back calculate out to determine what we can and can't do. That's basically how our 2019 street preservation came to life this year. Again, I really suggest just go look at our website and look at all the maps, and you can see all the areas. From there, we'll come out and place our sills and our stripes. We'll be adding almost 10 miles of bike lanes this year. I believe we're doing about 21 miles almost of total lane miles for chip seals, slurry seals, and hot chip. A lot of our other areas, we're working with our operations department. They'll go out and help us do spot repairs and prepare us for the next year. Our crack seal operations will also prepare for the future year coming as well.
And does doing the crack seal, does that help prolong the longevity of the street versus paving it fully, or how do you decide when you repave versus?
There's a lot of criteria that goes into it. It's really, I want to say, site specific. So it depends a lot on what's out there. The crack seal stuff generally leads to one of the more cost-effective. It can't fix everything, but it's a good preventative maintenance, which is why we ended up bringing that operation in-house and gives us more flexibility. But it's kind of the idea. And paving generally is going to be when your road's deteriorating. We do have some roads in the city that are deteriorating pretty significantly, and the capital cost will be significant, and we'll actually be doing some major patching, and in some instances you may see complete removal and replacement.
Okay. Again, we're here live with our Public Works Department, so if you have any streets related questions, please feel free to leave them and we'll try and get to your questions. You mentioned the I76 and Bromley Roundabout. Can you talk a little bit more about what improvements were made?
The I-76 Roundabout had failing traffic conditions from the service quality, so you're experiencing a lot of delays. We ended up adding an additional eastbound lane that takes you directly through to I-76 westbound. So if you want to catch I-76 west, you stay in your rightmost lane and progress all the way through the roundabout, and it'll take you right onto I-76. Also, we fixed the curb islands where now you can divert right into a dedicated turn lane into the Lowell shopping area and all that vicinity. But that's kind of the whole idea. It is actually a project that is to mitigate the issues by not having an interchange at I-76 and Bridge. There are some other mitigation projects, such as some traffic signals and other things, which will release PIO notices when those projects come to light. And that really has a lot to do with that whole area in general, all the way up to Weld County Road 2 or Baseline in the city of Brighton.
And you mentioned I-76 and Bridge, and we get questions quite often if there is ever going to be exits there. Is that in the works?
One day there will be. That's the question. And the biggest part is the funding of the project. It's under 20 million, but it's definitely over 10 million. We're estimating somewhere in the neighborhood of 15-ish. We are still pursuing at least projects like the I-76 in Bromley, where it was a mitigation project. We'll also be doing stuff like the traffic signals. In fact, we actually did receive a grant this year for $300,000 from the Adams County City Council of Governments and ADCOG, and that funds will be for designing that interchange. Now, the designing doesn't necessarily mean you're going to construct immediately or anything, but it allows us to start the process of designing the interchange.
Okay.
That includes all the studies and stuff that,
All the studies.
any of this type of work that gets done, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the back scenes that, a lot of people don't know about or understand that happens. There's environmental studies, water drainage studies, a lot of things that go into this that helps pay for.
Yeah, that's good information. Bob, if you'll talk to us, what's the process for filling potholes, and how do residents report potholes in their neighborhoods?
The easiest way, I think, to report pothole is get on the website. And if you go into the Public Works Department, there's a button to click, concerns, and it kind of guides you through there on where it is. And we do ask for the information on there. That's really important to us. Not only your name and address, but phone numbers, contacts, in case we need to reach back out. Sometimes we get kind of a vague description of where it's at, and then my guys are, spending time out looking for them, and where we actually will contact you and make sure we're specific on it. So the website's probably the easiest way.
Yeah.
And we get that, we look at those daily. Then we'll go out this time of year. It's a little iffy. I would love to be going out with what we call hot mix. There's two different types we use. We use a brand of cold mix called Easy Street that we can fill in water or anything, any kind of weather conditions. So we're using a lot of that to go out, and mitigate some of these on a quick turnaround basis. Ideally, though, we would like to get, when we get enough of them out there, we will go out and replace some of the cold mix patches with a permanent hot mix. That's my ideal way of trying to get them. But, to a day like today, you've got forecast for rain, so you don't want to waste, your hot mix cooling off or taking the chance of having to dump it with the weather.
Right.
So we'll go out and do them with cold mix and take care of them that way and try and get them patched up quicker.
Great. So if you have a pothole, make sure you go to our website, brightonsco.gov, and click on Report a Concern. We have a question here from Bella, and Bella would like to know, will you ever consider stoplights on 12th and Bridge?
12th and Bridge.
And I guess this is another, to go along with that question, what is the process for putting in lights?
So 12th and Bridge, just off the top of my head, I'd have to evaluate that intersection. Bridge is an arterial classification. So generally that is going to be a street with traffic signals. Usually the process all starts with traffic data. So the Federal Highway Administration, and using the manual and uniform traffic control devices, dictates the way that we have to implement stop signs and traffic signals. Generally what will start happening, it always starts as a two-way intersection in most cases, or a two-way stop condition, and then they'll convert to a four-way stop, and then thereafter a traffic signal. Usually, again, we'll go out, evaluate with traffic data, take the data, we process it, and then run it through our criteria. That's really kind of the process.
Great. And then with that, we often get requests from residents about crosswalks, and can we get a crosswalk at this location? Talk about that process and how you decide if a crosswalk is warranted.
Well, crosswalks do follow some of the similar criteria. We have to have ample pedestrian crossings to justify it. Now, we'd get a lot of requests for crosswalks all over the place, and one of the first criteria is going to be safety. So most crosswalks we're going to want to add a traffic signal or a stop control condition where we can ensure the safety of that pedestrian and give them the right of way. We do have some what you would call mid-block crossings, so the drivers actually have to yield to stop at that location. We've had requests for certain roadways, and our concern is the safety of the pedestrian. Now, as the transportation system evolves and transforms for the city of Brighton, yes, you will see more and more crossings like that.
Okay.
If we do see safety issues, as much as a pedestrian connection as it could be, we will not recommend those crosswalks.
Okay. And then talk to us a little bit about speed limits. We often hear that the speed is too low or too high. How are speed limits set in the city?
So interesting enough, a very similar thing.
Yeah.
It's all about collecting the data. Actually, Bob's team will go out, we set these tubes, we have traffic data counters. The guys will bring them back, and then we download all that data and process it. Speed limits are generally what they would call the 85th percentile. So it's really what the average person drives, because what they found from research is that is the safest speed limit. There's some slight variation to it. In Colorado, the only revised Colorado statute is 75 miles per hour, so we have to use that data with the same Federal Highway Administration and MUTCD guidelines, the manual and uniform traffic control devices, to establish those speed limits. What you don't want is arbitrary speed limits. So if you set it too high, then you'll have people driving fast and the average speed isn't, and it creates safety issues. Same in the reverse order.
Gotcha.
That's basically the process of establishing speed limits as well.
Okay, and then
I think some isn't a developer agreement also in some of the developments.
They have to install the infrastructure. So most local roads, you're going to be 25. Collector roads, you may be about 30, and that's just naturally that speed that kind of comes out of it with what a lot of the data will show.
Okay. And then if a person feels like people are consistently speeding through their neighborhood, what should someone do?
Well, you can always make requests to us. We're always here to take any concerns you may have. You can report it through the concern on the website, and we definitely will evaluate it. What we found in a lot of neighborhoods, it tends to be residents of that neighborhood. And I don't know how people feel about locally voicing their concerns. You can use social media to do it. It seems to be a very effective communication technique. I'm in support of yard signs, Drive 25, we've seen those. And those are on your private property. You see the little school things, or not school, the children playing out. I have no objection to those being contained properly. But if it's a high speed issues, that's a police department request. If it's a very dangerous situation, if we have different roads that are like your collector roads that kind of feed into the neighborhood, we wouldn't mind hearing about those so we can make some other evaluations. We are going to be implementing more traffic calming techniques. This could be things like new pavement markings where we're putting bike lanes and it narrows the drive lanes down. These could be things like pedestrian islands for crossing to help with the crosswalks and the safety features. It could be other features that we may implement, such as speed feedback signs. We've put a few of those out. Bob's team did last year. Those are some of the things you'll see coming in the future. And most of the new developments, we're already integrating as many of these things as we can up front.
Great. Again, we're here live with our Public Works Department. If you have questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments section and we'll try and get to them. And if you do join us after the fact, do still feel free to leave your question and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So Bob, sorry, a little bit of noise. Bob, talk to us a little bit about your crew and how many people you have working for you and what are they doing over the summer months?
Over the summer months, I've got 15 full-time employees on our crew. This year, I've been fortunate enough to get 3 seasonals to go out and help with the guys. We've got sign crews out, we've got signal crews out, we've got mainline striping crews out. Right now, we're doing some dirt work, which we've had to actually pull some of the other crews to get that moving faster. Then they'll branch back off again. We're continuing our sweeping program, trying to keep that street sweeper out there when we have good weather. After that is kind of what comes in.
Yeah.
You know, you go out and patch the potholes as they come in. This morning we're dealing with some drainage issues around town, so we had to shuffle some equipment around to take care of those. Some of the other stuff is just the day-to-day, you know, trying to keep up with stuff.
Right.
We're starting again some major signal work going on with contractors, so we, you know, make sure we want to stay on top of that, and you know, so there will be a little bit of signal glitches going on here, you know, throughout the summer.
And they also have their sign crew fabricating signs.
Yes.
And they have what's the other one I was thinking of?
Now the sign crew, along with, you know, the signs that get ran over, damaged, and that kind of stuff. We're working with Christopher on putting new chevrons up in front of all the guardrails. That's a pretty good sized project, you know, as far as the number of signs that have to be fabricated. And we make probably, I'm going to say 90 to 95% of all the signs we use in Brighton in-house, which, you know, some people say costs a little more, some people say it costs less. We have more control over what kind of signs we're putting out there as far as the quality, the reflectivity. You know, we have to meet the guidelines set up with those, but and in our world we've been able to cut down on a lot of downtime. You know, we can get a sign printed up pretty quick if we need to, you know, which takes care of the overall inventory. So it's that kind of stuff. You know, we got different projects coming in from Christopher, different projects coming in from the other departments in the city, and you try and take care of, you know, as much of that as you can in-house.
We have a question from Cody who would like to know when, and I'm not sure if you all can answer this, but when will the county roads get graded? Used to be every 2 to 3 weeks now. Now it seems like every 3 months. Is that something that you all are aware of?
No idea on county schedules.
Yeah, so I would just advise you check with Adams County and maybe they can give you more information on that.
I believe they also have a good website.
Yeah, so if we can get more information, we'll get back to you on that. You all mentioned Vision Zero and some of the work that was done late last year. Can you talk a little bit more about Vision Zero, and is there additional work to come out of it?
So I know Bob's team, we talked about this a little bit earlier. They went through all the schools and they modified all the regulatory signage, and they called it the school zone part. It was our first priority. We also have pedestrian safety, and this year we will start more of the evaluations of spot-specific areas, as well as looking at some corridors. We want to start doing some studies and see how we can enhance those corridors to make them more pedestrian and multimodal safe. Bridge Street's one of those corridors, especially by the roundabouts in that older downtown district area. So those are the processes that'll come forward.
Okay, great. And I know we have a question from Amanda. Amanda, we'll get back to you on that question. We don't have that information available right now, but we will be sure to get back to you on your question about Chavez. I wanted to talk a little bit about the bike lanes you mentioned and implementing some new bike lanes around town. What can people expect to see, and why are we putting in new bike lanes?
So the city of Brighton adopted a strategic business plan, and it's the safe and active engaged community is one of the ones, as well as maintaining our infrastructure. So we want to be able to give people the option for different transportation modes. What you'll see with the bike lanes will be dedicated bike lanes, so you'll have stripes on both sides, you'll have the signage to support it, and then for other areas where we're really restricted on the roadway, we just can't physically squeeze the bike lanes in dedicated, we'll actually install sharrows, and you'll also see the supporting signage. Main Street's probably one of our biggest transformations this year, from Bromley to Bridge. You'll see some on our other roads, such as like 8th Avenue, I believe is one of those roadways. And again, go check our website and you'll see all those different configurations being placed by the end of the year.
Great. And talk a little bit about sidewalks. Whose responsibility is to fix a damaged sidewalk?
The city code states that it is the homeowner's responsibility. Homeowners in Brighton are responsible for the curb, gutter, and sidewalk in front of their residence. It's kind of confusing, you know, at times, because most people consider that the city street, you know, and then we have to go out and tell them, no, that sidewalk repair are homeowners' responsibilities. You do need to go into city and get a permit, you know, to repair them and that kind of thing.
Okay. And right now it's pretty warm out, but I know you all are already starting to gear up for snow season, which is hard for us to think about. But talk to us about how you get ready in the summer months, and then once the snow is here, what are you doing?
Well, first, you know, I work on my tan to try and carry it through the winter. But yeah, I think about snow 12 months out of the year. You know, this time of year, you're absolutely right. It's beautiful out today. We are working on our pre-orders for this winter. The ice slicer we use, the mag chloride. We get what they call summer fill, you know, so we can save some money on getting it ordered in this time of year. So we're working on those aspects, making sure our tanks are full, making sure our salt dome that we're sitting in front of looks kind of bare right now, but by the time the first snow hits, we'll be sitting in our material where we're at right now. You know, the trucks, we're going over those, the snow plows. We've been very fortunate in the last couple of years. We've gotten a lot of new equipment, which has already paid dividends as far as downtime. You know, I mean, we went through the two, what we call major blizzards of the winter, without a single breakdown. You know, that's huge in my world. Yeah. But with that being said, you know, we're already pulling plows in and going over plow bits and making any of the little repairs. Now, when we get into about the September time of year, we will literally hook them up, make sure everything hooks up, make sure everything's working. We're going to try and implement a little bit of training program along with that this year, both on technology and just maneuvering the trucks. Mm-hmm. We want to spend some time. We was very fortunate this winter. We pulled some employees from other departments to come assist us in those bigger snowstorms, so we could have more equipment out doing what we need to do. So we want to implement a program where we can actually spend a couple days training on the technology and training with the trucks, getting the guys used to maneuvering. You know, they're big enough the way it is, but then when you start hanging an 11, 12-foot plow in front of them, you know, we definitely don't want no oops out there. You know, so we're going to work on those aspects. The newer trucks, I mentioned the technology, has a lot of buttons and bells and stuff in it that, you know, you got to know how to set so we can do what we, you know, need to do with them. Right. Going over the numbers this past year, we have decreased the amount of materials we are using per lane mile compared to what we was doing with the old equipment. So, you know, a little fine tuning here and there, but it's definitely paying dividends. We save the materials out there, help save the environment, all that kind of stuff.
Great, great. So we just have a couple minutes left, so I just want to turn it over to you all. Is there anything that we missed that you want to make sure residents know about before we close?
Wow.
I can let everybody know about a bunch of the services we offered.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if everybody knows exactly what all the Public Works Department does. I was just kind of going through all the different things since we had this today. I wanted to make sure I could share. So in our Public Works Department, we do have a branch that does development review. So if you ever have a project or anything, all the way from large scale development down to, you know, maybe you're converting an industrial building into something else. We do all the construction inspection services for both site development and right of way. So one of our guys will come out if you were repouring your sidewalk. All the way up to, like, if you're having a new sewer line installed. We do all the capital improvement projects for the public transportation system. I know Bob goes out and helps also with a bunch of other services. We do right-of-way inspections for any issues that come up or concerns. And then our operations consist of a bunch of stuff we already talked about. I think we nailed most of it. We do have a trash bash program that comes out. I believe we have one coming up this fall.
September, yep.
September. We have a recycle center. And then we also take care of a lot of the street lighting throughout the city of Brighton, and that falls on the burden of the city typically. Some new and interesting things, we'll have some traffic calming initiatives. The bike lane corridors, we're going to release a map so you can figure out where to go ride your bike throughout the city. And we also have a map showing all the significant development and construction throughout the city as well.
Great. One last question. Hopefully we can fit this in. Well, let's see if we can get to both of them. Kim would like to know, when will 50th and Bridge be done? Is there work being done out there?
Yeah, the 50th and Bridge area, they're putting some pedestrian crosswalks. I believe they have completed the concrete pours. Once that's done, we have another contractor that needs to go take care of some corrective issues. It was a development and they have to bring it to our standards. We had some deteriorating asphalt and some grades. So we're thinking, I believe, another month or two, and I know that's been taking a long time. That intersection's been under construction for quite some time, so we really appreciate your patience. It's very close to be getting done. I know by the end of this year we'll have just about everything wrapped up.
Okay, and then where can people go on the website to find the list of projects that you all are
So go
working
under the website and just go to Public Works Department, and we have a bunch of different maps. We have a few videos on Roundabout, snow plowing, and there's a bunch of content available for people.
Great. So again, brightonco.gov is where you can find all the information, Public Works Department. And Bob, anything that you want to add? Or
You know, just to piggyback, don't hesitate to notify us if you have a question. You know, I mean, might not always have the answer, but we're pretty good at trying to find them and getting back to you. You know, we welcome that kind of response, good or bad, you know, and then you got a concern, we'll try and take care of it. You know, if not, we'll hopefully point you in the right direction to get it taken care of.
Great. Well,
And on that note too, if you guys have anything you really like, let us know as well, so
That's
we
always
can
nice
try
to
to
hear.
you know, implement those as well.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time and for all the great information. And we will be back next month for another edition of Talk to Us Tuesday. Thank you.
Thanks, City of
Thanks.
Brighton.
Have a great day.